Welcome to Glow Social Club, the space where powerhouse women come to reclaim their health, their clarity, and their leadership. I'm Jazmine Corona, functional nutritional practitioner and founder of Organically Glow and Glow Social Club. Around here, we don't do one-size-fits-all advice. We translate symptoms into strategy and build the kind of structure that actually sustains you. If you are ready to lead your health, your work, and your life with clarity, confidence, and conviction, you are in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to Glow Social Hour. So we're going to be chatting about the diagnosis. So with a diagnosis, sometimes that gives us relief. It gives us a sense of understanding, like, oh, there was something wrong with my body. But I want to really rephrase that, because in order to heal, in order to help others heal, you have to shift away from making the diagnosis your identity. This is something that I have personally dealt with when I was experiencing my health challenges. When I was in the middle of suffering from so many dreadful symptoms, the anxiety, the acne, the rashes, the low energy, the fatigue, the hair falling out, the hormonal issues, right? I kept going to the doctors, hoping for an answer, wishing there was an answer. And once I got that diagnosis of you have this autoimmune condition, you have this autoimmune condition, you have this diagnosis, right? I did feel a sense of relief. Like it wasn't all in my head. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't just making all this up, because those are actually words that the doctors and the specialists actually told me before I got that diagnosis. And once you get that diagnosis, like I said, there is this sense of relief because you finally feel heard, you finally feel seen. But as you go through that whole journey, you realize that the diagnosis was really just the starting point. And you get so caught up in tying your identity to that diagnosis. So I remember always, like I look back now and I always remember myself like blaming my autoimmune conditions for XYZ, right? Oh, I don't want to go out because I'm scared that my body is going to fail me for the next 3 days, right? I'm going to have to lay in bed for 3 days straight because my body's going to be in pain if I go and enjoy some time with my friends. It would literally inhibit me from living my life because I was so scared of triggering an immune response, right? An autoimmune flare. And I truly believe this is a form of PTSD. Like I truly believe there is some type of PTSD that comes with experiencing a chronic illness or your health crashing. Like there's still like this sense of, if I do this, it's going to make me fall down that path again. And that's scary, right? There's that fear again that keeps popping up. So with that diagnosis, it really like created this whole identity around it. And it's actually scary, and it's actually completely detrimental to your healing. There was even this point where I thought my body was broken. I truly believed that this diagnosis was going to be with me for the rest of my life. And I see this so often across social media. Even with some of my clients, that we have to actually rewire their brain to make them feel safe again in their bodies, to make them realize that their bodies are not broken. And it's really because when you go through the medical system, right, they're constantly telling you, well, it's going to be like this for the rest of your life because this is your diagnosis, right? This is your label. And that's what it is. It's just a label. These diagnoses were never supposed to be your identity. They were never supposed to be given to you like as a gift, right? They're really there to help doctors treat you. Like they really are there for the doctors and the practitioners, because once they have a diagnosis, once they have made a diagnosis, they're able to be like, okay, you have this diagnosis, let me grab this prescription, this is what you take for the rest of your life, right? And so the diagnosis was never meant for you. It was never meant to provide you an identity. And it's something that you hold on to because it's like the only sense of understanding that your body, that you weren't crazy, right? Like it's just like a sense of understanding. And so you get so tied up in that you also forget that there's a whole nother life ahead for you, right? If you actually just detached yourself away from the identity. So I see this so often, right? When I'm like scrolling through Instagram, through TikTok, people will like have it in their bios, like autoimmune warrior, right? Or Hashimoto's warrior, or PCOS warrior, like these different identities around their diagnosis, and it's so scary, and I don't even think they realize it. And it's not saying that this is wrong, that this is, this is like causing you anything, like I'm not saying anything bad or negative, but I do believe it inhibits someone from actually healing, from actually achieving their body. Yes, it's part of your story, but that's it. It's not your identity, is what I'm trying to say. It's not your identity. You do not want to identify yourself with your diagnosis. So I've had clients come to me and they say, my PCOS makes me broken. And I'm like, whoa, let's pause there. Can you repeat what you said? And they'll tell me, my PCOS. And I was like, right there. You're owning that diagnosis as your identity, my PCOS. And so we have to reframe that. It's not my PCOS, it's these PCOS symptoms is making me feel like my body is broken, right? And so again, it's really detaching yourself away from the diagnosis so you can actually make a breakthrough in your health journey. I even have some people who say, like, I have Hashimoto's and this is just the way I am. And right away, I'm like, okay, like if that's how you see yourself, if that's how you feel, then that's a block right there. Like that's why you haven't seen any movement in your healing journey, because you're still so attached to that diagnosis. Or some people will be like, I'm just an anxious person. Or I just hear that from people. Not even clients say that anymore. They just like, I'm just an anxious person. Like, that's just who I am. And I'm like, no, that's not who you are. Like, feeling anxious is just a feeling. It's not your identity. It's not who you are. It's not who you are meant to be. And so I always listen to those words, and I like to point them out to people, especially women who are on a healing journey and who actually want to see movement in their journey, is I have to reflect that back to them. Like, you are not broken. You are not your diagnosis. Your body is just trying to communicate to you, right? That there's just some room for improvement. There's some systems that need support. But it's not your identity. It's not who you are. It's not who you are meant to be. So a diagnosis is really just a starting point for some people. And honestly, it's really just something that helps doctors do their job. It's just a label, right? It's just a label. It's not a whole strategy. It's not you. It's not who you are. So a diagnosis, I completely understand, can definitely bring you some relief, bring you some validation, even a path toward answers. But most often, and too often, it blocks people from healing. Clients start identifying with their symptoms. Practitioners start treating the label instead of actually tracing back to what is actually dysfunctional. And high-performing women begin to shrink their capacity to fit to how their body is feeling or to that label. Like, they won't do certain things because that label is holding you back. Like me. I'm telling you, that's exactly how I was. I was literally scared to push my body too much because I was scared of the autoimmune flare. So let me just help you reframe this if you're open to it. Your body didn't break. It really adapted. And your job, your real work is to decode what it was adapting to. So let's get very specific. What's actually behind these labels? What is actually beneath these labels? What is the root cause behind these labels? And it's so many different things. It really is. I always say there's never just one root cause. There's multiple root causes that can be contributing to that diagnosis or to the symptoms that you're experiencing. So with Hashimoto's, for example, or with thyroid disorders or issues, I should say, I often see that it is rooted in nervous system dysfunction. You have been running on stress hormones. You have been stuck in survival mode. And now your adrenals and your thyroid are tapped out. So that is why you feel so exhausted and so depleted. Your adrenals and your thyroid have been working so hard. Your nervous system has been trying to push. And instead of using nutrients and using food as energy, you are running on stress hormones. So when we run on stress hormones, what happens is cortisol spikes, right? And cortisol will block your thyroid function. Another thing I often see is gut infections or gut overgrowths or like some type of dysbiosis in the gut. And then that triggers that autoimmune response, right? It triggers that immune system to be like, hey, like something's going on in our body. We need to go and find out what is going on and we need to get rid of it. And then the immune system mistakes your thyroid as an enemy, as a foreign invader, and that is not an invader, right? That is your organ system. That is your body. So there is something deeper going on that is actually triggering that immune response, right? Because your body is always trying to protect you. It is not broken. It is literally and physically and biologically trying to protect you from an invader, because that's what it's meant to do. So when we have gut inflammation, we have a damaged gut lining, everything is triggering that immune system, and the immune system goes haywire and it's attacking this and it's attacking that, and then we have autoimmunity. Another thing with thyroid issues are toxins. Toxins, environmental toxins. And this is actually a topic that is going to be like mainstream in a couple of years. It's already getting traction right now. Like a lot of people are already aware of environmental toxins, right? It's in our water supply. It's in the foods we're eating. It's in our care products, our face wash, our skincare, our laundry detergent, right? And so all these environmental toxins they love the thyroid, especially heavy metals. Heavy metals love the thyroid. And so again, that's going to trigger the immune system because toxins are invaders. They are foreign bodies that should not be inside your body. And so what happens is it kicks up the immune system again. And then what happens? The immune system starts attacking these toxins, but then it, misattacks and starts attacking the thyroid or any other autoimmune condition that you may be experiencing, right? This is the same thing with like rheumatoid arthritis, right? The immune system's attacking your joints, your tissues. So it's really about getting very specific, asking the deeper question, okay, well, what's actually causing these symptoms? Why is this happening? What can be contributing to these symptoms? Same thing with anxiety, right? We want to ask a deeper question. Okay, well, what's actually behind the anxiety? Blood sugar instability is like the top thing I see at all times. Again, we can dive a little bit deeper into that. Well, what's causing the blood sugar imbalance? What is causing the blood sugar roller coaster? Stress, toxins, certain foods that you're eating. Maybe you're just eating a ton of ultra-processed foods, ton of refined carbs. Your blood sugar is like, whoa, what is going on? some mineral depletion. So there's specific vitamins or specific minerals such as like B12, your B vitamin, just general your B vitamins when they're low is going to cause blood sugar issues. When we have low vitamins, when we have low minerals, that's going to cause anxiety, right? So B12 is a big one that's behind anxiety, methylation issues. And then if we start talking about the nervous system again, right? Behind all of these different symptoms, behind all these different diagnoses, these labels, is the nervous system dysfunction. We're stuck in survival mode at all times nowadays, I feel like. So many women, we're high-performing women, we are stuck in survival mode. And when that happens, eventually your body crashes. Can only survive so long on cortisol and your stress hormones. So this is the type of work we do inside the leadership lab. If you're a practitioner, if you're a coach, we really dive deep into the root causes behind these different labels, these different symptoms, helping our client rewire their brain and their nervous system so they actually feel safe again in their bodies. So that's inside the leadership lab. It's really just not about symptom relief. It's about full body root cause decoding. And then also for women who are looking to dive deeper into their health, into their wellness, we have our private one-on-one coaching or consulting where we really dive deep. We work one-on-one and we dive deep into this work. And the transformations that are seen when you make that decision to heal your body is incredible. Like, it's really incredible. It doesn't just impact you. It impacts your family. It impacts your kids. It impacts your household. It impacts your career. Like, once you transform your life, it really leaks into every other area of your life. And then for my practitioners who are listening, you are trained to help others heal. But how often do you shrink your own healing down to the same frameworks that just don't meet you where you're at, right? We are trying to listen to our symptoms and then we're like, okay, we have this symptom, let's pair this supplement with that, right? But it's so much deeper than that. In order to actually lead others, we have to really start leading ourselves. We have to start healing from strategy and not survival. And that will shift everything for you. It will shift your energy. It will shift how you show up every single day. It will shift your leadership, your business model. And then also your ability and your capacity to work with more people, right? To scale the business. And so inside Glow Social Club, again, we build you as deeply as you build your practice. So we're really helping you build your body back and then, of course, build a business better. So overall, with the diagnosis, it's really about reframing it, right? So if you've been living inside a diagnosis, you have been identifying yourself with the diagnosis, it's really important to shift your mindset. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Why am I broken? Why is my body fighting me? Ask, what is my body trying to resolve? What stressor is impacting and leading to these symptoms? What system might be, taking a hit right now that needs more support? Because you are not broken, your body is responding. And once we really identify that signal underneath the symptom, underneath that diagnosis, behind that label, because it's literally just a label, guys, you reclaim your authority over your body and your health again. So here's the truth. A diagnosis might explain what's happening. It might give you a sense of direction, but it will never tell you the whole story of why. And your job isn't to label yourself with this diagnosis or identify yourself with this diagnosis. It's really to understand what's behind that diagnosis. And healing isn't about managing dysfunction. It's about restoring function. And that's really what we do here. So don't settle for the label. Reclaim your story. It is time to step into your power. I will see you guys next time. If you guys love this episode, if you know someone who may need to hear this, or you may need to replay this to yourself, Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, and I'll see you guys next time. If today's conversation shifted something inside of you, if it brought you clarity, relief, or a new way to see your health as a leadership tool, I'd love for you to share this with another powerhouse woman in your world. And remember, symptoms aren't the problem, they are the signal. When you start translating them, you stop surviving and you start leading with clarity. I'll see you next time inside Glow Social Hour.